Hey guys, this is Camp 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another Bleach Arc Reviews as I pretty much talk about the fake Karakura town arc, which was, my goodness, one of the best arcs I have ever watched. This arc, I kid you not, kept me staying up nights trying to see how this arc would end. And when it finally ended, man, I was just like in utter shock and awe, man. I cannot believe what I just watched. And yeah, now if I don't explain things as good as other people who review Bleach, explains them, I'm sorry. Again, correct me in the comment section if you'd like to and stuff like that. But I kind of have a basic understanding of pretty much what's going on and stuff like that. Now, before this arc even gets started, we kind of get a flashback to what is happening in the what happens in the past, and we kind of get background understanding of what kind of was the setup to the events that were then leading into the fake Karakura town arc and stuff like that. Like one of the major plot points is the fact that all the Visored characters, Shinji included, they all used to be in the Soul Society. They all used to be either captains or lieutenants. Like Shinji, he was a captain, and his lieutenant was none other than Sosuke Aizen, and everything. And this flashback past backstory pretty much explains everything that happened to the Visored characters, why they are who they are at that point. And at the same time, it shows you that this man Eisen was a conniving master planner way back all those 100 years ago and stuff like that. We get the backstory of how Uehara ended up becoming a squad captain. We find out that he was pretty much recommended by Yoriichi to be a squad captain. And his lieutenant was Hiyori at the time. Incident happens to where there was like these mysterious disappearances of Soul Reapers. The Visor crew go, and that's when they end up all becoming Visors and stuff like that. Shinji ends up going later. He finds out that Aizen played a whole trick on him and stuff like that. And the whole thing with Shinji was the fact that he wanted to keep Aizen so damn close to him, because he knew Aizen was just trouble. But it was a freaking cold line when when Shinji was like, I chose you so I could keep a close eye on you because I knew you would do something like that. And Aizen's like, no, Captain Shinji, I chose you. I'm like, damn, this freaking shit. Eventually, Uehara shows up, but it's already too little too late. And eventually what happens is he manages to save the Shinji and the others. He tries to use the Hyoko Q to try to heal them, but alas, it pretty much, doesn't really work that much. And he ends up getting arrested, tried by Central 46 for his crimes on hollowization, pretty much, or hollification. And even though Uehara's like, no, it wasn't me, it was freaking Aizen that did this. It's too little too late. You can't really, nobody won't believe him. And pretty much the thing is, the backstory ends off Yoriichi pretty much getting Uehara out of there, and then pretty much being outcasted by the Soul Society. And that's pretty much what happened. And all the lead up to all these characters and stuff like that. So it was great. We also get some more background information how Mayuri actually got into this whole thing because he ended up being like the right hand assistant to Uehara when he created the research and development for his representative squad, which explains why Mayuri ended up becoming the captain and stuff like that. So yeah, but like I said, this arc is strictly just fight, 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 fight. Like there isn't even a slowdown of fights, but at the same time, most of these fights have integral pieces to especially the characters of the Espadas and stuff like that. So one we start off the arc with Ikaku, Yumachika, Shuhei, and Izuru. They're protecting these pillars because, like I said, In the last video, they switched out the real Karakura town with the fake Karakura town, and there's these pillars that protect the fake Karakura town from reverting back to the real Karakura town, and stuff like that. So they end up finding these own individual rank cards that kind of compare to one another, are their personal traits, and they end up doing it. Ikaku is the only one that didn't really defeat his the Iran card he was up against, and I think it was Captain Yamamoto that came in and finished him off and stuff like that. But the reasoning why, or no, I think it was Komura that did. No, yeah, it was Komura that did that. And the reasoning why is he was pretty much antagonized the fact that Komura's lieutenant pretty much said, like, what's the point in hiding your Bankai, like, and stuff like that, because Ikaku was holding back. He doesn't want to show the other Soul Reapers, like, yes, I have a Bankai, and pretty much he's, in a way, you could say he could be there as being a captain, pretty much. And it was kind of an interesting, little thing there of, like, you don't need to hide your true self. You should always, it doesn't matter. You should go against your vows if it's to protect people and stuff like that, which it does make sense. Like, shit, why are you just gonna get your ass whooped and you're not gonna bring out your probably strongest, thing to help you win fights? But you don't want to break this vow and stuff like that. But again, he has his own things, so stuff like that. Yeah. And like I said, this is where we get the whole freaking crazy fights of things that are going on. Obviously, you have Ichigo versus Kiora, the rematch, and everything. The Soy Fawn versus Baragon fight, Toshiro versus Holly Bell. What is it? You have Shunsei and Ukatake versus Stark. So let's start off with one of these. So Ichigo versus Ulquiorra. I was waiting for this fight this entire time, and I was like, I need to see this fight. How does Ichigo defeat this guy? And pretty much for the most part, Ichigo holds his own for a bit. And then when freaking Okira ends up going to his resurrection form, he ends up pretty much showing Ichigo that he's like infinitely stronger than him and kicking his ass. But there's several dynamics to this Okira battle. Now, Okira and the other Espadas, they pretty much have like these precepts or these preconceptions of death. Each and every one of them have a preconceived notion of death. In Okiora's stance, he has the preconception of nihilism, which is pretty much, as I look at my notes, it's the belief that life is meaningless. And even before this battle, he asked Orihime, like, what is it about you humans that make you have this heart, this hope that you think you can win? Where exactly is your heart located at? Is it located, in your chest where I have to open that up, or is it located in your, head, your brain, where I have to break open your skull pretty much to find that out and everything? And he also he tells Orihime, like, are you afraid of me? And Orihime pretty much replies by saying, no, I'm not. I'm not afraid of you because I have hope that I have the hope and the belief that my friends will win and they will be the victors on top. And Okira is like, that's really freaking stupid, really weird and everything. Like, why would you have false belief in your friends so much? Like, why? And he even contemplates this during his fight with Ichigo, like, why do you not give up? Why do you continue to fight on when all hope is lost? When all hope, when you have no strength, you can't get any possibly stronger. The outcome is already at hand. You're going to lose. Why do you continue to fight? What's the point? What's the purpose? And everything. And that goes to this whole belief that he believes life is meaningless. You just need to live by the book. You just need to do this, pretty much be like him and everything. Now, in the meantime of this fight going on, hold on a quick second, guys. Hold on a quick second. Okay, back. But like I said, there's some things that also happened mid battle. One, I forgot if I mentioned these two characters in the last video, but Lolly and Maholi, these two Arankar girls who were pretty much bullying and abusing Orihime, because they didn't like the fact that Aizen was strictly focused on Orihime for some reason. So I'm guessing they were jealous that she was the focus And you know, they ended up attacking Orihime, like saying, like, I think it was Lolly, the one chick with the Arankar eye patch, pretty much is like, I don't care what you're gonna do, I'm gonna rip you to shreds. Whether it's this, and that starts by taking your clothes off, and I'm gonna rip your arms and your legs off and your freaking eyeballs out, I'll gorge them out and shit like that. I'm like, geez Louise, what did they ever do to you? I'm like, I'm like, she healed you. Why do you have issues with her and stuff like that? But I do like the fact that one of them, I think it was Lawley's friend, was like, no, there's no point in hurting her. Like, she saved our lives, she healed us. What's the point? It ends up having Yami get involved in everything, and he ends up taking them out, but Orihime ends up healing them again. But they still end up, you know, getting taken out regardless. Uryu ends up showing up. It looks like he takes down Yami for a bit, but we see he's still alive by the time, you know, he fights Kenpachi and Byakuya. But like I said, the fight between Okira and Ichigo takes to the top of the roof of Los Noches, and again, he goes into his resurrection form, which is like pretty much like against like the rules, or the rules that Aizen set up pretty much in Hikamundo. But this is pretty much a thing of like Ichigo just gets destroyed. Like, not even his freaking holified form can stand up to Okira anymore. And he absolutely gets destroyed to the point, you know, he ends up showing a second resurrection form just to even show more of the power gap that is between Ichigo and Okira. And the thing is, even though Ichigo is getting his ass whooped, he's continuously holding on to his sword, and he's not letting it down. And Okira is like, why do you continue to stay and fight? Why are you not letting go of your sword? Your victory is useless. You're not gonna win. The match is over. I've already shown you how much stronger I ultimately am. And again, Uryu and Orihime, they're watching all this, and they get at the time as Ichigo pretty much gets a hole blown through his freaking chest as he's on the deathbed. Uryu starts to fight freaking Okira, but again, same thing happens. He's getting his butt kicked, and there's nothing he can do. While Orihime, she's trying the best she can do to heal, but she's breaking down mentally because somebody she deeply cares about is pretty much dead. And you know, she knows like there's nothing else she can do about it, and the fact that she desperately needs Ichigo, because as she's trying to heal him, she's just asking like, what can I do? What can I do, Ichigo? What would you tell me to do and stuff like that? She's freaking out and everything and stuff like that. And she just cries out a hopeless plea for Ichigo to come and help her and come and save her pretty much. Or just from the standpoint, she just screams out like, Ichigo, I need you. And all of a sudden, you know, Ichigo comes back, but in the form of a Vaste Lord hollow state. And he's got this different, you know, hollow look. He's got these horns and everything. And he absolutely freaking kicks Okira's ass to the point he puts Okira on the point of death, on the verge of death. But he, you know, Ichigo, because he's not in this state of control, it's his hollow control. His vassal Lord A form looks to use a Sero to finish Okira off for good, but we have it to where Uryu stops him and say, listen, dude, Ichigo, the fight's over with. It's done. You won. You know, don't do this, because guess what? It's not going to make you human. You're going to be a hollow pretty much. But we see how Uryu ends up getting impaled by Ichigo, and everything. But due to Okira cutting off one of the horns that Ichigo had in his Vaste Lord hollow form, Ichigo mass breaks. He's back to himself. He automatically regenerates and heals. And when Ichigo finally has full consciousness again, he realizes what he's done, and he sees that Uryu was impaled by him, and he also sees the damage that Okira, what happened to Okira. He ends up, you know, telling Okira, listen, you know, and Okira wants, you know, Ichigo to finish him off, and Ichigo's questioning like, why did I didn't defeat you like this? This is not the right way and everything. I want you to freaking cut off my arm, and I want you to cut off my leg, so we're even and stuff like that. And for me personally, I was like, Ichigo, don't do this honor shit right now. Just kill the guy. He's asking to die. Just kill him. Don't give me this honor stuff about, oh, you feel so bad, whatever, and things like that. But the thing is, Okira, he starts dusting away because it's too late. He then talks to Orihime again, and he asks the question, Orihime, are you afraid of me? And Orihime says, no, I am not. Pretty much giving her the same answer. And it's Okira's way of finally realizing, like, now I see what you humans are, what a heart is. And in depth, pretty much Okira realized, you know, what it means to have a human heart. And it's a very sad ending to his character. Honestly, out of all the Espadas, him and Stark rank as my top two Espadas in terms of character development that they got and how bad you feel after they freaking die. Like shit. Stark's is very freaking emotional too, which hey, let's get into Stark's whole backstory. Or actually I'll say, I'll start it right now because I'm going through all the individual fights and stuff like that. But anyways, Stark's whole thing is the fact that he grew alone. He was pretty much alone. He was alone and he had this loneliness. But the thing is, he took a part of his soul and created what is it? Lilianette. And Lilianette, we see in this fight, means a lot to Stark because throughout the fight he's having with Shunsui, he's very visibly distracted because he's wondering if Ukatake is actually gonna hurt Lilianette. And Shunsui is like, listen, he's not gonna hurt her. Let's just fight in this whole fight. And this whole fight is pretty much, who's gonna bring out the most out of, each of these characters and stuff like that. And the whole thing about Stark is, he was lonely. He was left alone. His power was way too immense and everything where people didn't really get near him. And that's why he created Lilianette. And it was a bond for him that, was there for him. And then when Eisen showed up and then said, hey, join my cause and everything, he created, and then the Espada showed up, we have it where Stark, he had people, friends he could call, that were standing by his side, and he never ultimately felt lonely in this case and everything, which it hits hard to home about being alone and being lonely and stuff like that. What happens with him is he ends up showing his resurrection form, with look absolutely badass. He's got dual wielding pistols, and everything and stuff like that. And at first, he gets the upper hand, on Shunsui and Ukatake until the visors end up showing up. But then then he ends up beating the visors. But then thanks to Shunsui's Bankai, which pretty much makes him go through people's shadows in a way. I'm not explaining how his complete Bankai works and everything, but to me, it looks like he's just going through his shadows and shit like that. I know the truth behind his Bankai. I just didn't put the notes down to word for word, but it's pretty much he uses people's shadows to get the upper hand. It's actually a freaking dangerous, deadly ass freaking Bankai, and it goes to show that he had to train a lot to freaking master this Bankai. But he ends up defeating Stark once and for all. And it's the whole thing about, Stark being lonely and now he's dying lonely and stuff like that. And it's a very tragic damn backstory for him. But at the same time, I love the statement that Shunsui said, you see, in war, no side is good, both sides are evil, which is absolutely a real freaking real life thing. It doesn't matter what war is going, like the war going on in the Ukraine right now as of this freaking video. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but regardless, at the end of the day, nobody is a freaking good guy in this situation. Whether Ukraine, Russia, I don't care. Nobody's a good guy in all these wars. Wars over history, nobody's a good guy. It's just people just being hurt, being damaged, being killed for no apparent reason, and stuff like that. So that's the thing. Toshiro's fight against Holly Bell. This whole fight is his ice powers versus her water powers and stuff like that. And the thing is, we're led to believe that Holly Bell was defeated because Toshiro pretty much showed up how powerful his Bankai can get, to the fact that he can even change the fucking weather. He can affect the weather, and the fact that these little snowdrops pretty much made the whole thing like made the whole thing, made her freeze up. And speaking of more about that, Rangiku was actually going up against Holly Beryl's pretty much her squad, her lieutenants in a way. And Rangiku was actually absolutely having some damn trouble with this whole situation, to the point Momo actually showed up out of nowhere and is helping, and everything. But they end up getting defeated by this big, gigantic creature that Holly Bell's women are her lieutenants create, that damn near put Rangiku and Momo on the verge of death and everything. All other characters like all the other characters, they try to do something about it, but they can't. And that's when Captain Yamamoto gets involved, takes down this creature, and everything, but at the same time also kills Holly Bell's lieutenants pretty much. And her whole thing is just the Quran. I really did enjoy her thing. We get her little flashback how she didn't want to join Baragon's forces, and she stuck by the three Arankars she brought in, and pretty much watched over them as if they were her, her friends, her best friends, or her daughters in a way, and stuff like that. But she ends up coming back. They end up having a fight. She ends up fighting Toshiro, Kiori, and fudge, I forgot her name. Lisa. When the visors show up. And that fight pretty much ends up concluding in a way where she ends up being betrayed by Aizen, because Aizen saw that she was weak and she was having pretty much a moral sense of pretty much changing sides and just not carrying out the vision, just doing things. And it shows you that, and we see, like, it shows that Aizen ultimately doesn't care about the Arankars. He was just using them as a means to an end. He doesn't view all these people working for him as allies. He views them as just tools to be used for him to obtain his whole end game. And cutting to Baragon. Baragon went up against Soifon. And legitimately, I'm like, how the hell is Soifon gonna fucking win this fight and everything? And things crazy. We find out his power. Baragon's power is pretty much if you watch Dragon Ball Super and Lord Beerus, it's pretty much his abilities are Hakai before Hakai was a thing. In other words, if you watch Dragon Ball Super, Hakai is where pretty much a god of destruction just says the word Hakai, and then a character is absolutely erased from existence. They just dissolve into nothingness. That's kind of what happens. That's kind of what Baragon's power is. And he ends up afflicting Soifon with this, but to the point Soifon has to have her lieutenant cut her arm off. But the thing is, we get revealed to her Bankai, which is just pretty much like a freaking bazooka in a way. And it looks like Baragon's defeated, but he isn't defeated again. And then Hachi ends up coming into the fight. They end up defeating Baragon by the fact that Hachi ended up getting affected by Baragon's power, and he's in his release form and everything. But he puts his decapitated hand in the body of Baragon, which ends up disintegrating him. But we get some background information or some backstory to Baragon from the standpoint he was pretty much the king of Hucamundo. He ruled over all the Arankars, all the Hollows, pretty much, and stuff like that. But when Aizen showed up, pretty much beat him. He got knocked down a peg, and we see that he has, Baragon has no respect for Aizen at all. Like, even in his death, he was trying to kill him, and stuff like that. And we see, like, Aizen put him down as the second strongest Arankar or Espada and everything. And it's kind of sad because Baragon lost pretty much everything once Aizen showed up, and all he wanted to do is he wanted to get his revenge and kill he wanted to kill Aizen for what he did to him and everything, and pretty much in a way embarrassed him and stuff like that. So that was freaking crazy and everything. What takes place in Hucamundo after Ichigo defeated Okira and stuff like that. Byakuya and Kenpachi reluctantly have to work together to defeat Yami, who we find out is the strongest Espada, because he's Espada number 0. I highly fucking doubt that. Listen, I know they say for the grand scheme of things, he was the strongest, but Ninja, please. After what I saw Okira, I'm like, Ninja, I don't give a crap anymore. I know power scaling can be absolute dog shit at sometimes, but my God, to me, Okira felt like he was the strongest a spot out of all of them. The dude had two resurrection forms and everything, and I did like his resurrection forms. I know his second resurrection form. It really reminded me of Lucifero from the way the design looks from Black Clover, if you read the manga for that, and stuff like that. So yeah. But I really find it hard to believe that Yami was, oh, this is the big bad Espada that's the strongest. Byakuya and Kenpachi, like I said, they ended up beating him, but Ichigo, he ends up going over to the real world before the fight with Byakuya has with Yami. He pretty much I loved how Byakuya said, listen, your mission is protect Karakura town because you're the substitute soul reaper there. And we have it to where Captain Unohana and Ichigo, they go, and in the meantime, Captain Unohana pretty much tells Ichigo, like, listen, dude, you're the one last hope. You're everything we're betting on because you have yet to see you are not effect you have yet to see what Aizen can truly do based on his abilities and everything and stuff like that. And you haven't been effective. So don't look at that when you see it because or his Shikai. You don't get affected by his Shikai. If that's the case, we're really freaking done. But because you haven't seen a Shikai, you'll be able to have an advantage against him and defeat him. But also, too, we see how, Ichigo still got more power because he makes the mention, like, yeah, my robe here, it's not even fully ripped off. If it was fully ripped off, it would show you that I'm pretty much out of power. But it goes to show you that I still got some power. And when else sees that, and she's like, okay, I'll heal you to get you back to full power, pretty much. So we have a better chance at defeating Aizen, stuff like that. In the meantime, we have a fight between Shinji and Aizen, captain versus lieutenant and everything. We kind of find out Shinji's ability. And his ability is pretty much let's just say reversing things around, mirroring images, but eventually gets to the point where he overcomes Aizen overcomes that. But another fight we have, because Aizen's done and everything and stuff like that, we have the fight between Shuhei Komamura versus Tozen. And this was, again, another fairly emotional fight because it's these two characters that were very connected to Tozen who felt ultimately betrayed and they want to save him and stuff like that. And, the whole fight that's going on is this whole sense of justice. And we get the backstory to Tozen of the fact that his sense of justice is he's doing this out of revenge strictly, and getting back at the Soul Society in a way, because we find out he deeply had a friend or deeply had a girl that I'm guessing he liked, or if not liked, just deeply cared about, who ended up was killed by her wife, this girl he was into. She ended up dying because her husband ended up killing her over some petty dispute, which that's so stupid and stuff like that. And the thing is, he went up to Central 46, or I think it was Central 47. If I say it wrong, whatever. And he pretty much says, like, no, you need to prosecute the guy that killed her. She had nothing to do with it. And he felt wrong that, guess what? The Soul Society didn't do anything about this guy. They didn't prosecute this guy. They didn't kill it. They didn't try this guy. And the person, that he deeply cared about lost her life for nothing, and he gets away scot-free pretty much. And stuff like that. And that's when he took this whole thing of wanting to get revenge on the Soul Society for wronging somebody he cared about, understandably. But we find out this guy has a holification form to get stronger, not just he has his Bonkai and everything, but that's the whole thing. And it's just crazy how strong he is and everything. And when he even shows up his resurrection form, it's just a fly that can see everything. And it was very insulting when he looks at Komamura and he's like, oh, Komamura, you truly are a disgusting creature. I was like, really? You had to say that? You just had to call him disgusting? What was the point of that? Anyways. You get this moment to where Komamura is fighting him, but ultimately he can't bring himself to kill his friend Tozen. And he's like, I can't do it. I can't finish you off. And that's when Shuei comes in, pretty much downs him. And pretty much, I love this line how Komamura is like, listen, you don't have to forgive me and you don't have to like me anymore. Please, I don't want you to lose yourself. I don't want you to lose yourself over this sense of revenge and stuff like that. Um, and it's just an emotional thing. And when it looked like Tozen was going to change over for the good side for once, Eisen does the thing which he kills him and finishes him off and stuff like that, which is very freaking crazy and stuff like that. And that's when in the meantime Ichigo shows up. But Eisen blocks Ichigo, and then we see how this entire fight. Eisen pretty much antagonizes Ichigo, getting Ichigo to feel not confident in himself and pretty much explains to Ichigo like, oh yes, I'm the one that instigated you. I'm the one that made you who you are today. I've been the one that has been making you get to this very point, saying he's the cause for everything that has happened in the story of Bleach. And pretty much we have it to where Ichigo, and it's even further hinted in his fight with Gin. It's his whole standpoint that Ichigo, he pretty much loses the will to fight because he sees all the captains and the visors taking on Aizen, and they're just dropping down like flies. They're going down one by one by one by one by one. One of the most effed up things in this entire fight was the whole thing how Toshiro was telling Aizen on the fact that he's not a captain because he's on this manhunt just to kill people and everything. And all of a sudden, he used his Shikai and tricked everybody. And when it looked like Toshiro impaled Aizen, no, in reality he impaled Momo, and I was like, oh wow. And Toshiro, because he cares about Momo so much, he freaking loses his shit. He's like, Aizen! And everything and stuff like that. And it just goes to show you, and that, you know, they even question like, how long have you been using your Shikai and stuff like that, and your abilities? And he's like, oh, well, I could have been using this entire time. You guys never really noticed, and stuff like that. But like I said, seeing this entire time, Ichigo's watching this, he's just losing more and more the will and the desire to win slash fight because he's like, this dude Eisen is infinitely strong. We end up getting Captain Yamamoto versus Eisen, but when it looked like Captain Yamamoto is going to be the win, we are then find out the purpose of Wonder-Wise. Wonder-Wise, the boy that showed up earlier in the fight, that one of the Visor characters were fighting with, and pretty much we find out that this dude pretty much gave all of his intelligence, everything, just to be a check to Yamamoto. And pretty much the big attack that Yamamoto had right then and there ready, Wonder-Wise pretty much canceled it out, and Yamamoto had to defeat Wonder-Wise, and he ended up doing it, but at the cost is Wonder-Wise pretty much sucked in everything and pretty much took out Captain Yamamoto, which again, Aizen defeated Captain Yamamoto, and this leaves only Aizen and Ichigo. And like I said, Aizen is just antagonizing Ichigo, and at the same time, Ichigo really has nothing left to fight for. And even though Ichigo's trying to fight back with everything he's got, he just doesn't have the confidence in his sword and everything. But all of a sudden, you have it to where Aizen is like, you see, you're human, and then we see out of nowhere, Ishin Kurosaki shows up, and it's like, you talk too much, dude. And he starts to fight with Aizen and everything. And at the same time, you have it where Aizen is legitimately transforming into a damn freaking butterfly god-like creature. It's just like, what the hell? And we also find out that the Hyogokyu has fused with Aizen. It's in his chest and everything, and it continuously gets him stronger, and he's also pretty much has instant heal. Now, like I said, in the fight with Ichigo and Gin, Gin is fighting Ichigo, and he's like, you don't have any resolve to fight and everything. So guess what? Get out of my sight, because if you're not going to have no resolve to fight or win, then That's the thing. We also find out that Gin's Bankai, but we'll talk about that later. But he lies about his Bankai, pretty much outreaching at super fast speeds and everything. But we'll get to that. But in the fight, eventually we have to where Yoraichi and Uehara show up. And they end up kicking Aizen's butt for a bit, but Aizen continuously gets stronger and everything and ends up defeating them. And stuff like that. And when pretty much Aizen, knows, oh, there's nobody that can touch me, he ends up going to the real Karakura town to pretty much get the key to see the Soul King and everything, to get the Oaken and everything. And that's when Ishin tells Ichigo, listen, I don't know what's going on with you, dude, but listen, we need to protect Karakura Town. Everybody you love and care about lives over there. So are you just going to sit on your ass, twiddling your thumbs, doing nothing, just letting Aizen get his way? Or are you going to do something about it and save? So we even see when Aizen and Gin enter the dimension to get to the Soul Society, we see how Aizen is so strong. He can defeat the cleaner that pretty much erases you from damn near existence, pretty much. And that goes to show how strong Aizen is. Now, Ishin sees this and he realizes they can play this to their advantage. So, in a way of a hyperbolic time chamber type of thing, Ichigo uses his inner soul world to be able to learn the final Getsugo Tensho, and stuff like that. So he goes into his world, and pretty much the world used to be in the sky with skyscrapers and everything, but we find out that Zangetsu, or it's like Tensho Zangetsu, because Ichigo's in his Bankai state in a way. I don't know, but it's pretty much Zangetsu. And pretty much he finds out, yeah, he pretty much tells him, listen, you lost the will to fight. That's why this world is underwater and it continues to be underwater, like it's rain and stuff like that, and it's all droopy. All of a sudden, they have a little bit of a clash, but then he pulls out his hollow self, saying that Ichigo yet again, afraid of his hollow self. And again, when it's funny when the hollow self's like, oh, I told you, Ichigo, I told you that I would return. And stuff like that, which it was freaking funny. And stuff like that. But pretty much the whole thing with this is the fact that Ichigo wants to learn the final Getsugo Tensho, but Zangetsu, who fuses with his hollow self in this fight, says, I'm not teaching you shit. And it takes all the way until Ichigo gets impaled by Zangetsu, saying that this was what needed to happen. And you have unlocked the powers of the Getsugo Tenshin. Now, the final Getsugo Tenshin. Now, Tensho. Now, what happens, like I said, in real Karakura Town, you see just things ensue where one, you have a thing where a little cat and mouse game where freaking Aizen pretty much he pretty much chases Tatsuki and other Ichigo's friends. We also see a reappearance of Don Kenoji, and it's pretty much kind of a they're stalling for time till Ichigo gets there and stuff like that. And at the same time, Aizen's playing around. All of a sudden, we see that Rengiku ended up showing up, and her and Gin kind of go off the talk. And this is kind of the thing where we get this whole thing where, because Rengiku wanted to know, why did Gin turn on the Soul Society? Why did Gin betray her? Most importantly. So yeah, now when Gin returns, it's implied that Gin apparently killed Rengiku, but we find out that he put Rengiku to sleep, which lowered her soul pressure and everything, and he ends up betraying Aizen and turning on Aizen and everything, and he pretty much impales him and takes the Hyogokyu from Aizen, and we find out through his Bankai, which he lied about. He said he put his Bankai, stabbed him through it, but there was a little catch to his Bankai, that his Bankai his sword can break apart, and he left a little piece of his sword that contained a poison that pretty much breaks the cells down in Aizen's body. And I'm just like, watching this, I'm like, holy shit, man. And we find out the backstory again. Now, we knew from earlier arcs that Rengiku had some sort of connection to Gin. We didn't know how or why, but she had some sort of connection to Gin, and she was very much like, why did Gin do what she did? And we find out in the backstory that Aizen had something to do with taking a good chunk of Rengiku's soul from her and Gin did not like that one bit because he cared about Renkiku in the past. So that's why he aspired to be a Soul Reaper so he could get closer to Aizen. And he grew so close to Aizen, the fact that before even anything, he touched Aizen's Zapakto to realize that that's his weak, that, that's the way to break it, is you won't be affected by it if you just grab it. And he got so close to it that Aizen would tell him about this and stuff like that. And, it looked like Gin saved the day and everything. And he saved his, he finally got his revenge on Aizen for what he did to Rengiku and everything. But in one of the most craziest ways, Aizen freaking returns and stuff like that. And he comes back from the dead pretty much kills Gin. And that's when we get this whole backstory about what happened with Gin and everything. Again, like I said, all hope looks lost. Rengiku shows up and is pretty much holding the dead body of Gin and everything. All of a sudden, Ichigo shows up from his training, looking a lot more older, longer hair and everything, and looking a lot more different. And when Gin opens his eyes a bit, which we do see his eyes, which I do like, and I did hear another reviewer when I was getting their thoughts and stuff like that say that it made Gin feel human for once. And that was one thing that in the fight against Ichigo back in the fake Karakura town, Ichigo made a mention like, of all my opponents that I fought, I could tell what was fueling them, what was their heart saying to them. I don't know what your heart's saying. But when Gin gets a good look at Ichigo in the eyes Ichigo has, Gin's like, now I can die peacefully because now you have the will to fight. You have the purpose and will to fight. So you have it to where Ichigo and Aizen, they have their final clash, and Ichigo absolutely kicks Aizen's ass. Whatever Aizen does, like, it's not even nothing. He holds back his sword with his bare hand. He freaking breaks he breaks a spell, one of the spells that Aizen throws that should have like absolutely destroyed Ichigo. He just absolutely defeats him with utter ease, man. And I'm just watching this like, yo, this is crazy. And Ichigo is so strong at this point that he's stronger than Aizen. Like, Aizen's thinking like, oh, he's creating this landscaping change, but in reality, no, it's not Aizen that's doing that. That's Ichigo that's doing that. And it goes to show you how strong he is. So the thing is, Aizen then transforms, or he's already transformed multiple times, but that's when we see Ichigo transform yet again, or into his to get ready to fire off his final Getsugo tension. And it's like he looks like a soldier. He's got long black hair. He looks like he's taking the form of Zangetsu as well. And then he unleashes it. It ends up hitting Aizen and defeating him. It doesn't kill him, but he ends up regenerating and everything. And it looks like all hope is lost. But the reasoning why it's such an issue of using the final Getsugo Tensho is because once Ichigo uses it, his soul powers will all be drained. He will not have the powers of the Soul Reaper no more, which is a very emotional thing because it's like, no, this is the end. And no, it looks like Aizen is but going back, Aizen looks like he was going to reheal and get even stronger for that. But then all of a sudden, one of the spells that Uehara used, I think it was the Hado something, a Hado spell that he used. It pretty much sealed Aizen, breaking him down, and because of it, the Hyokokyu pretty much rejected Aizen because it's not fulfilling the desires of what the Hyokokyu wanted from Aizen and stuff like that. And Aizen pretty much at this point, he's just sick and tired of Uehara, and he's just wondering why Uehara would just be okay with the status quo of, and he pretty much yelling out how much he despises Uehara for just pretty much, staying at the status quo, letting the Soul King just freaking be the one main ruler, not doing anything to change about that. And that's when Aizen gets sealed, and that's when we get the climax of the arc and stuff like that. But we get an interesting conversation between Ichigo when he's talking to Uehara, and he goes in to say, that when he fought Aizen, he could tell that Aizen was lonely and that he had nobody to share the same ideology with, the same ideals with that he had and everything. And the only other person that could have did that was Uehara himself and everything. And the others, or him and the others meet up with Ichigo. They congratulate him on a job well done. He ends up passing out. Aftermath stuff, we find out that Aizen, he's pretty much wrapped up damn near just from head to toe and everything. And the Central 46 pretty much says, you're pretty much, my bad, holy crap. Central 46 pretty much tells Aizen that he is going to be put away for tens of thousands of years, 20,000 years or something like that. I don't know why they just don't put him in there for life, because pretty much he's immortal now. He's an immortal being. He can never die, which is whatever. Some of the things that happened to this guy where he was absolutely getting freaking killed makes no sense how he didn't die. We have it to where Toshiro, he's training to get stronger and everything. So obviously that's a story point that I feel like it's going to be something that gets paid off down the road, because he wants to he just wants to get stronger and everything, because we know that he doesn't have good control of his Bankai and stuff like that. So yeah, well, Renkiku, he's kind of reflecting on Gin and everything and realizing that Gin leaving was probably for the best of interest, and she kind of realized how much she loved Gin. At the same time, when Gin was also dying, he realized how much Gin realized how much he loved Renkiku, which it's just a sad story. The fact that this dude Gin, he pretty much sacrificed everything to try to save the day. I'm at the and the fact that he won't get to spend that time with Rengiku, it's fairly emotional and stuff like that. But with Ichigo, we find out he reawakens. He's back to his normal self again. He looks like he's a high schooler again. But we find out from what Uehara said, from what Rukia said, his soul reaper powers could be gone within a day, the following week, a month, or even a year from where they're at currently right now. And obviously the others are like wondering, like, why are you not worried about your soul reaper powers going away? And Ichigo's like, well, I kind of did what I needed to do. I saved the people I cared about. I did it. So when the time comes, the time comes. But until then, I'll continue to be a soul reaper till my powers are gone. And Ichigo is actually fairly content with this. He's okay with this. And yeah, and that's kind of where the arc ends. It kind of ends on a somber note, but at the end of the time, the heroes still win at the end of the day. A lot of loss happened and stuff like that, but things are back to normal and everything. So my thoughts on the fake Karakura Town arc. I know I didn't probably go into depth about dang near every different topic, and like I said, I did to the best of my abilities. I barely have like little bits and tiny bits of notes and stuff like that, but I'm mainly remember most of the main story points and stuff like that. But this arc had a lot of heart, a lot of emotional moments, and just a lot of freaking craziness that happened, man. This arc definitely was one of the best arcs I've ever watched in anime, period. Aizen is a goated villain for me. He's my number one top 10, number one villain of all time for me. Out of everything I've watched or read so far, he's goated up there, because this guy was an absolute mastermind and he was just unstoppable. Stuff like that. But it's gonna be very interesting to see how the story goes. Obviously the story continues with two more canon arcs. So obviously Ichigo is gonna find a way to get his sword of powers back. So it's gonna be interesting to see that. And maybe this also explains to why how Ishin Kurosaki lost his powers. Maybe he did something similar where he did this final move, it took his powers away, but they ended up coming back. It's also the same thing like Uryu when he fought against Mayuri, when he pretty much channeled all his Quincy abilities to try to defeat him, and he lost his powers for a subsequent amount of time until his dad came back and said, here's how you can be able to gain your Quincy powers back. So I know Ichigo's going to find some way to get his Soul Reaper powers back. It's going to be interesting when. But overall than that, I enjoyed the Fate Karakura Town arc. This arc was phenomenal. But anyways, on the next video, I am going to be talking about the next arc, which is not the next canon arc, which is the Fullbringer arc. I will not be doing that. I'm actually going to be going back and I'm going to be reviewing the filler arcs that I missed. Which, listen, I got to do what I got to do. And I want to go back and miss that, which was I watched the first episode of the Zanpakuto Rebellion arc, which, funny enough, it reminds me of that fairy tale filler arc called where it was the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc, where seemingly enough, it looks like it's the same thing. Which in this, it looks like the Zanpakuto souls are rebelling against the Soul Reapers, like how in the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc in Fairy Tale, um, Lucy and Yukino's spirits, celestial spirits, they end up turning on their own masters. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. So that's what's going to happen. I'm gonna get what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get whatever potential filler arcs out the way first, give you my thoughts on the Fullbringer arc, and then that will be it. And then I guess other than that, I'll be reviewing the Bleach movies, and then when Bleach comes out, or the anime returns, that's when I'll do weekly episode reviews for Bleach. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on Fate Karakura Town. But till then, guys, I'll see you guys on the Zanpakuto Rebellion arc review. Hopefully, this filler is fairly good and better than the last two ones, but we'll see. Till then, guys, leave a like, put in the comment section, hit that subscribe button. You want to get more Bleach content or any other anime content I upload to the channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell icon so you're up to date with whatever I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, catch you guys in the next video. Peace.